Hi again, everybody. This video is sponsored by contribution from Cinderella, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. Thanks for all you do. I hope you can offer me some advice. Somehow I feel like if you read my story, if anyone other than my own thoughts actually acknowledges my state of mind, I will finally feel validated, and that will be so freeing. My mother was a narcissist, and God help me, I married one. What's worse is that my daughter has become one too. And my ultimate question for you is about her. I'm sorry if this is long, but it goes back many decades. I'm a mother of two, a son 27, a daughter 21. I'm in my late 50s. My mother spent my childhood making me and everyone around her her butler. She always claimed to be sick, physically that is. When I was 17, she decided she wanted to move back to her home state, but I didn't want to go, and she didn't want to be saddled with me, and also didn't want the stigma of leaving me behind. I was having problems at school, being bullied, and instead of helping me through it, she suggested I quit school and marry the person I was dating at the time, who was 21. What advice? Neither of us were ready, but she browbeat both of us into it. She wanted a quick ceremony and didn't even appear to be interested in helping me find a dress. She already badgered my oldest brother into joining the service. She had already badgered my sister and other brother into getting married while still in their teens, and now I was the last item on her list to be checked off and gotten out of the way. When she burned some bridges in her home state, she came back and now was hell-bent on ending my marriage and getting me home to wait on her. Exactly. Exactly. She drives off all her children, marries them off as soon as she fucking possibly can so she can go back home and relive her childhood. And then saw it wasn't the way she thought it was. It wasn't going to be that way. So what's the next best thing? Let me come back now and make my children wait on me hand and foot. Fuck that bitch. Sometimes I can still hear her saying, I need somebody to wait on me. She said she was sick again, so I visited her. While there, I passed out after drinking some iced tea she gave me, which was strange because she usually didn't pour things for people. And to this day, I wonder if she gave me something to cause it. Of course she did. We know narcissists love to poison people and make them sick. She's never poured anything for you before in your life, and the first time she does, you get sick off of iced tea. Because once I passed out, once I passed out, she called the ambulance, had me admitted to the hospital, and told my husband I didn't want to see him. I never even knew that until recently. 40 years later, he found me on Facebook and told me. So I laid in the hospital thinking he didn't even bother to come see me. From then on, she planned the whole thing. She planned the whole thing. Get you sick, put you in the hospital, separate you from your husband. This was all manipulation. From then on, she intercepted all communication between us. Mail and landlines were all we had then. The marriage ended. A few years later, I met someone that I still, all these years later, believed was the one and only for me. She got him alone and told him I had been seeing my ex-husband and was pregnant with his child. This, of course, was an absolute lie. I hadn't spoken to him since the divorce, and he was already remarried. So ended the second relationship because he cut off communication with me and would not explain why. I was so devastated I contemplated suicide. For years I didn't understand it, but my brother finally told me what she had done. My fiance had believed her story because of what mom would lie about her daughter. Because what mom would lie about her daughter like that, right? Well, here's the question. What mom would then go tell a daughter who had done that to somebody she cared about? Are you serious? Are you serious? Is that what families do? Families throw each other under the bus. I don't think so. I don't think so. And that's the problem with these enablers and these people who fall for it. Instead of being there like, oh wow, that's terrible, your daughter. Why are you telling me this? What's wrong with you? That's your daughter. If somebody would do that when they did one of these lies, I guarantee you they would stop it. My fiance believed her story that I was planning to tell him he was the father and trap him in a marriage. I was never pregnant. A few years later, I met my husband, but by now, my mother had moved back to her home state again and remarried after destroying my marriage and engagement. She stayed there for the next 20 plus years and died in 2007. I won't even tell you about the drama of the will. That would take another 4 full pages, but you can guess. The narcissist's final FU. Let's just say that my sister and I had to bury her at our own expense, and my stepfather's grandkids got everything. Then why did you bury her? Why would you bury a narcissist at your own expense and cut you out of everything? Fuck that. Fuck that. Back to my husband. At first he seemed very attentive and caring, but it was all an illusion. Before the ring was warm on my finger, my husband planned my life out for me. While we were still engaged, he suggested we allow his elderly aunt to move in with us. Back then, I had the strength to say that's not what I expected when you proposed. I had my own business and was doing very well. He was a self-employed professional with a parade of letters trailing behind his name, still getting his practice off the ground. Then he said I needed to get a full-time job with better health care benefits to cover us, as if I had no job. Like a fool, I did. He had purchased the house months before the wedding, in his name alone, and it took 13 years to get him to put my name on the house, make me the beneficiary of his life insurance and will. By now, we had 2 children. He wanted to go to Disney, and for once I put my foot down and insisted that I would not board the plane unless there were legal protections in place for me and my children. The deed, the insurance, and the will. This was a little brave because by now I had been taught that such matters were over my head and smacked of greed. But I wanted my children protected, and I didn't feel like it was greed. It seems like I am able, on some occasions, to fight them for their sake, but I am filled with shame that most of the time I've just been a cowardly, codependent enabler, wringing my hands, trying to please everyone and avoid conflict. I have spent decades trying to keep the peace, anticipate his triggers, and avoid his bitch fits, while he appears to the outside world to be the salt of the earth. I have spent the last 30 years alone trying to hold the house together and raise the children while my husband watches baseball, which is his number one passion in life. I'm just the butler, again, and the carpenter, painter, plumber, mechanic, cook, maid, etc. You get the picture. An example, one of many, that most sticks out in my mind is the night I took my children to a birthday party and the car broke down at night on a dark, deserted road. This was about 1998 and I had my first cell phone. I used it to call him and tell him I needed him to come pick us up. His answer, "Are you out of your fucking mind? They just threw the first pitch in the first game of the World Series, and my Yankees are playing. I'm not fucking leaving." What a dick. What a dick. Yeah, that's game 1 against the Padres in 98. David Wells pitching. Went down 5-3. The game didn't even get interesting until the 7th inning. 6th inning? No, 7th inning. When Tino hit a grand slam into the upper deck. Cars have radios. You can listen to a ball game on the radio. It's one of the few sports that's still very popular on the fucking radio. I told you not to go to that stupid party to begin with. Call AAA and leave me the fuck alone. So there I was with a dead alternator, 2 children, ages 8 and 3, and a husband who couldn't care less. The worst part, he used that story in biggest fan contests to try to win prizes. I still have the video file he submitted to ESPN where he brags about it. Send it in. Send it in. Send it in. I kept it so he couldn't gaslight and say it never happened. I cannot even count the ruined holidays and the times he kicked me when I was down. Like when I sat all night in a hospice with my dying brother, and when I got home, the call came that he was gone. I couldn't go to work. I hadn't eaten anything and was devastated, and all my husband did was bitch because I wasn't going to work, even though I had bereavement benefits and they knew the situation. I was so weak and tired and hungry I couldn't get off the chair, and I told him that and he went in the kitchen, made himself breakfast, and walked past me with a disgusted look on his face. Didn't make me anything or even bring me a drink of water. He once told me that I wasn't even good enough for him. After I saw through 2 major health issues and made sure he got the best care, your video on nursing narcissists back to health is dead on accurate. I wrote that down when he said it, but now he claims he never said it, and I'm crazy. I mentioned leaving a few times, and his only answer was, "So go." This is one of his favorite lines. All of us who suffer from no contact with these people could probably write our own book called Quotes from the Narcissist. A few I hear on display on a daily basis are, "You don't need that. You don't feel that way. You're not going to do that. That's stupid. Just do what I tell you to do. I'm the breadwinner, blah, blah, blah." This breadwinner recently, instead of cooperating with the usual process of applying as a co-signer for our daughter's apartment, who is going into her senior year of college in Philadelphia, insisted that her brother, Daddy's golden child, co-sign for her instead. He's certainly in a position to do it, but it's not his responsibility. And once again, I found the strength to fight back and tell this narc, "You don't use one child to do your job for the other. He just getting started in life, and you want to burden him with your responsibility." This breadwinner never thought twice about taking the money these children earn for themselves. He took mine for years, and I have nothing to show for it. On to my daughter, who is entering her last year of college. She constantly tries to make me feel older and stupid. She is off the charts on manipulation and narcissism. I once counted 40 selfies in less than 10 minutes. She insists on the biggest and the best of everything, whether or not it's affordable. The gaslighting, the guilt, the narcissistic rages are beyond belief. She didn't get a car because she goes to school in Philadelphia, where there's not an affordable way to park one. He would not get her one because it didn't make sense, and she never lets me forget that her brother, Daddy's golden boy, got a car in his sophomore year. She uses that to guilt me every time I try to say no. She has trichotillomania. She pulls out her hair, perhaps from being raised by a narc father. Yeah. I just read another story not too long ago of a girl who has the exact same issue. And she can't help that, but I have tried every resource I could find to help her with no results. Every suggestion I make to try to deal with it, she snarls at. She becomes a hoarder, and I am being crowded out of my house by her stuff, which makes me tense because I have to shuffle sideways through some areas and others I can't go into because it's not even safe anymore. The worst is when she is home for the summer and when her and my husband both gang up on me and make me a target. I have high blood pressure and I have a hard time in the heat, and they just tag team me with demands, constant demands. I want to fill in the blank to eat. I need this iron. Why do they always want oven-baked food and iron clothes when it's 95 degrees? Both of them start trauma with me and with each other. She won't let me sleep, constantly waking me up every couple hours for the stupidest reasons. If either of them see me sit down, they tell me some stupid thing they need done immediately. It's like they can't bear to see me rest for a moment. I feel like my life is an endless Cinderella story. For the last 30 years, I've been on the defensive. If I worked full time and things at home didn't get done, my husband would bitch with his hand out, with his hand out for the money. If I didn't work and the house ran smooth, he'd bitch that I was a freeloader. If I worked part-time, which I do now, he bitches that I don't make enough money. Nothing is ever enough. He doesn't know how to do any house repairs, so it falls on me. I feel trapped because his job pays for my health care insurance, which I cannot afford on my own. I'm working less than 15 hours a week and I can't support myself anymore. He sees every hope, every dream, every idea has as a thought, though it were a cockroach that needs to be stomped to death. You can't even finish a sentence before he will interrupt you and shout you down, if to say, why are you even talking? If you have something in your hand that he thinks you should read, even if it's yours, he will snatch it from you in a hateful way and hold it up in the air before reading it. He did this with a modest check I received once, and he ripped it in half. He's like a big child. You know what you do? You start ripping his shit in half. Stop giving him your money. Stop cooking for him. What is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? Go to the bank and take your money out. You have to have a bank account. He can't just take it from you. Him and your daughter. Don't get up. Don't do it. Let him bitch. Let him scream. And if they start freaking out, call the cops. Say, my husband and daughter are having a psychotic episode. And get out. Or throw his ass out. Throw his ass out. Let him go to work, have the locks in the door changed, file for divorce, boom. And not a custody arrangement, an alimony arrangement. He has to pay for the house. Go get a lawyer. Your kids don't need you anymore. The one is 27 and the other one is too late. If she's already on this hoarding path, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop, not with him around. Nothing is ever enough. He doesn't know how to do any house repairs, so it falls on me. I feel trapped because I don't make enough, because his job pays for my health care insurance, which I cannot afford. Working less than 15 hours a week, I can't support myself anymore. He sees every hope, every dream, every idea anyone has as a cockroach. Oh, wait, I read this. As a cockroach, need to be stomped. You can't even finish a sentence. Okay. He's like a big child. When I met him, I was finally putting out of my mother's narcissistic abuse and was doing great. I was becoming strong and confident, and now I'm just a shell. But I know it. And it was for the first time, thanks to you, a couple of the other narcissism recovery blogs. I know why. I always thought it was me, that there was something lacking in me. I couldn't understand why somebody would marry me, put me on a shelf, and ignore me, except when there was an opportunity to make me feel worthless or perform some task, which was never done to their satisfaction anyway. My daughter recently suggested I go to my mother's home state and live with my sister. I know she is panicking because when she graduates, she is scared about getting a job, about why she would suggest I go live with my sister. Here's why: because your daughter has no intention of working ever. She knows she's a hoarder. She knows what she is. She figures she can get what she wants out of daddy, and she'll hoard out your house and get you out. No, no, no. File for divorce and throw them out. Throw him out, and she will follow. The reason why you're afraid to leave is because your mother was so willing to sell you off. Well, you need to be alone. You need to be away from these people. I feel bad for her situation because she has no friends, mainly because she's so obnoxious to people. She calls my husband toxic, and she's right. She needs to get away from him badly, as I do. but she has become just like him. Every summer, she sleeps all day while I'm working, and then keeps me up most of the night. I'm lucky if I get 3 hours of sleep. My problem is, how does a mother go no contact with a narcissistically abusive child and not feel guilty about it? I see so much on the channels about narc parents, but so little about narc children. I don't want to abandon her, but I need sleep. I need to gain confidence, and I need to feel like a person again and not be called names. I need to stop being the staff and become the person I used to be. In fairness to her, her father treated her as though she were invisible, and her brother as though the sun revolved around them. The only person in the family who doesn't acknowledge it is her narc father. He claims we're all crazy. My son once told me he feels bad about the difference in the treatment they received. And I feel guilty that somehow I didn't fight hard enough and enabled it. I am ashamed that instead of fighting hard enough against him, I became the hand-wringing enabler, too frightened of dragging my children into a custody battle, knowing how spiteful he is and how he would use them like pawns. That many times I was like a young zombie trying to get through each day with as little conflict as possible. Now that I see clearly what's been going on all these years, it's killing me inside to realize that maybe I played a role. And if so, that's on me. How do I heal myself, go no contact, and not make things even worse for her? Put it another way, how do I love my child and also start loving myself when the child doesn't see me as a person either? I don't know if there is a way to help her out, but I can't help anybody when I'm with this sleep-deprived, overwhelmed with demands, and depressed from the constant put-downs and snarky remarks. I feel trapped. Even though she goes back to Philadelphia soon, I know the dramatic phone calls in the middle of the night won't stop. Again, thanks for all you do. It's been so helpful to learn from you and your subscribers that I'm not alone in this emotional snake pit. Please keep up your valuable work. Cinderella. Your daughter's not well enough to be in college. She's not well enough. And this is going to continue. And she'll use college as an excuse and as a drama base to keep you up. What I think is happening with her, with the hair pulling and all that, and all this, the calls, the keeping you up at night, she is still a baby. She is still a child. She wants you to throw your husband out. She wants him out of her life, but she's not strong enough to do it. So she's acting like him to try to push you over the edge, hoping that you'll drive him out. You need to get this dude out of the house. You need to go to a lawyer, file for divorce, okay? Because that is the only chance your daughter might have, is not being in the house with him. And she needs to be in some intensified therapy. You're married to him for at least 30 years. You're entitled to things in a divorce. Half the house, alimony, his medical, he can't kick you off your medical insurance. You're his support. He can't just kick you off. You need to talk to a divorce attorney and get the ball rolling and do what that divorce attorney tells you to do. They help women with no money all the time. You have a job. Stop giving it to him. Stop giving him your money. Go to the bank. Take your money out. It's half yours. If you were to file for divorce, you could go to the bank, take all the money out, and keep it for yourself, and there wouldn't be a goddamn thing he could do about it. And I don't preach that type of shit. I don't. What I would suggest, because that's what women usually do to men, what I would suggest you do is go to the bank, take half the money out, get him out, or get yourself out, and file for divorce and get what's rightfully yours. All this abuse, all this shit is gonna come out. Now, will your kids might turn on you and lie on his behalf for a will? Maybe. Maybe. But most states are zero fault divorce. So it doesn't matter who did what to who. It doesn't matter. It's a 50-50 split of assets, and it's based on who makes what, who was supporting who. So if your husband was supporting you, then you're entitled to alimony. You're entitled to his insurance. You're entitled to half the house. That's the only chance you have for your daughter. That's it, because she fucked her up good. She shouldn't be in school. She shouldn't be there. It only making her worse. She has no friends. She can't socialize. What good is college doing her? Is she going to be able to how is she going to get a job like this? Walking into her boss's, boss. And I'm not saying this to pick on her, but you need to think about this rationally. What job will she ever be able to hold like that? You're just pissing money away, and he's just pissing money away to keep her out of the house for a few months out of the year, when this girl needs serious psychological help. And she's never going to get better as long as you're married to him. Now, if you were to get divorced and it still doesn't work, it doesn't work. You're going to have to wash your hands of it at some time. Your daughter shouldn't be in school. Your daughter should be in therapy. Intense therapy. Not saying have her committed, but she has problems. And if you're getting calls every night at 3 a.m. frantically from college, then what is the point? You're just pissing money. They're just pissing money away. She's hoarding already at 21. You're walking sideways. This isn't going to get better with a degree. It's going to draw, when she graduates, if she graduates, it's going to make her worse, because then the pressure for her to get a job is going to become overwhelming, and she is going to implode. And then watch out. And then watch out. You need to, like you said, stop being the enabler, the hand-wringing enabler to please everybody. Okay? This isn't your mother anymore trying to marry you off. This is you trying to get a hold of your life and possibly save your daughter. Possibly save her. That will never, ever happen with him around. And you have to be honest about yourself. What job could she possibly get acting like this? And what will change between now and graduation to make her better, to make her employable, to make her be able to let her be able to hold a job? Nothing. You can run from the truth for so long. Eventually, you're going to have to face it. You're going to have to face it down. And you're going to have to deal with it. And this is something you're going to have to deal with. I know what your husband is. These wannabe sports heroes who are obsessed with. And listen, I love the Yankees. I love baseball. I mean, but are you fucking serious? Do you know where I was during Game 4, the clinching game of the World Series, of that same World Series in '98? I was sitting in fucking Precana with my first wife, with my ex-wife. Me, Precana, pre-marriage Precana, telling you to use the rhythm method and all this fucking religious bullshit before marriage. That's where I was, the clinching game, okay, of the '98 World Series, the greatest team to ever play baseball. That's the difference. And I still got out in time to see the last 5 innings. Baseball's a long fucking game. It takes hours, especially playoff baseball. Fucking idiot. Leave your kids out there. Like, I understand your fear and I understand why everything, but now is your point. Now is your time. You can't keep, eventually you're going to have to be honest about this, about the situation you're in. Find a lawyer and talk to them, and they will tell you what to do. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much for your story. I hope this helped. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, or a narcissist you'd like to expose, you know what to do with the PayPal and my email links in the description box. I'll have the video right back to you. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon. Bye.